Hi students, so this is regarding the continuation of the video that was taken for Model Paper 1, Karnataka State Board, Class 10th. So we'll be continuing the set of questions of Model Paper 1 itself because the previous video becomes lengthy enough for you to watch for a long hour. So it's a continuation of it and keep watching. So let's go to the next question. State Ohm's law. Mention the factors on which the resistance of a conductor depends. So what does Ohm's law defines or states? It states that potential difference across 2 points of a metallic conductor is directly proportional to the current passing through the circuit, though the temperature, there will be no variation in it. That is, temperature remains constant. So let's see the factors that are dependent on the conductor. So directly it is the resistance of a conductor is directly proportional to the length of the conductor. It's also directly proportional to the temperature. It depends on the nature of the material. Only the thing is it is inversely proportional to the area of cross section. So the second question of it is state Joule's law of heating and write the mathematical formula of this kind. So that is, write the mathematical formula of Joule's law of heating. So Joule's law of heating states that when a current passes through a conductor of resistance R for time t, then heat developed in a conductor is equal to the product of square of the current and the resistance and time. That is, H is equal to VIT, or H is equal to V is what? V is equal to IR. So VIT, that is V and I, that is IR into I into T. V is equal to IR into IT. You are substituting the value of V. V is equal to IR according to Ohm's law. So H is equal to IR into IT. So H is equal to I square RT. That is, H is directly proportional to the square of the current, directly proportional to the resistance, and with respect to the time too. So next, this we will be completing the physics part now. We will move on to the part B, chemistry. So multiple choice questions. The gas liberated when an acid reacts with a metal is A. hydrogen, B. chlorine, C. carbon dioxide, D. as nitrogen dioxide. So we all know that when a metal reacts with an acid, it releases hydrogen gas. Moving on to the next one, the hydrocarbon that undergoes addition reaction among the following. So addition reaction is when one small molecule will add on another molecule to become a larger molecule. This reaction is known as addition reaction. So this, based on that, we need to know what will go here, addition reaction. So you can see that there are 4 different options, that is C2H6, C3H8, CH4 and C3H6. So that is C3H6 means C3, 3 carbon and 3 plus 2 plus 3, that is 6 and 7, 8. So you can see a double bond, so propene, so it's C3H6. So here you can see that C3H6 is going to undergo addition reaction. So in modern periodic table, next question, modern periodic table, as we move from left to right along the period, the atomic size of element, what it happens? So atomic size decreases and atomic number increases. So based on the options here, they have given increases, does not change, decreases, first increases and then decreases. But your answer is decreases. So next, main, answer the following questions. Is it possible to test the hardness of water using detergents? So we need to find out that hardness of water can be tested by use of detergents, and if so, you need to give the reason. So detergents, what are detergents? Detergents are ammonium sulfonate salts of long chain carboxylic acids. So unlike soap, they will not react with, like soaps can react with calcium and magnesium ions, but detergents do not react with calcium and magnesium present in hard or soft water. So this means that detergents can be used in both hard and soft water. Therefore, it cannot be used to check whether the water is hard or not. So we cannot use detergent to test the hardness of water. So next question, in the modern periodic table, the element of group 17th are fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. They are also known as halogens. So they are capable of producing salts. So which element has highest ability to receive electrons and why? So the answer is fluorine. So it has 7 valence electrons. It only needs one more. So outermost shell has 7 electrons. So fill the octet, it needs only one more electron to achieve the octet or noble gas configuration. So next question, ionic compounds have high melting points. Why? So ionic compounds have high melting point because it takes a lot of energy to overcome the strong electrostatic force of attraction between oppositely charged ions like NaCl, Na+, and Cl-. As told, metals can donate their electrons or give their electrons, but non-metals will take the electrons or acceptors. So ionic compounds have a high melting points. So coming on to the next question, answer the following questions. That is, they have asked name the ketone having 4 carbon atoms and write structure. So ketone is NONE, it ends with NONE. Ketone is C double bond O structure, and 4 carbon atom, it's told as BUT. So you can see the structure here, C4. So it is C with 3H. First C has 3H, second C has 2H, third C should not be connected to any H, because if it becomes connected to a H, it becomes CHO, that is aldehyde. So we should not connect it either at the C last or the first. So it need not be connected with the first or the last double bond O, because it will get connected to one of the H. So C double bond O in the middle of C's, either it can be in the second C or the third C. So you can see that it is butanone. So next, they have asked to draw the diagram of apparatus used to show the acid solution in water conducts electricity. So you can see that there is a beaker and a rubber cork. So the nail is not in directly contact with the beaker or the solution. Here dilute HCl is added and it is connected to a battery or switch, and 6-volt battery needs to be connected. So you just need to draw the diagram and you need not explain for this. So next, the gas liberated when sodium carbonate reacts with dilute HCl is passed through lime water. So sodium carbonate is a base and it reacts with an acid, that is HCl. A white precipitate is formed, but when the same gas, whatever has come out, it is passed through lime water in excess, is in more quantity, the precipitate will not be visible. Why? So the answer is carbon dioxide is liberated when hydrochloric acid, it reacts with sodium hydrogen carbonate or sodium carbonate. The gas that is liberated will pass through lime water and lime water will turn milky due to the presence of carbon dioxide. When carbon dioxide is present, so lime water will obviously turn milky due to the presence of carbon dioxide. But further, if the same solution becomes clear, and you can see the formation of calcium hydrogen carbonate, and thus when same gas is passed through, the precipitation is not at all visible. So next, coming to the next question, explain the limitations of Mendeleev's periodic table. So let's see the limitations here. The position of hydrogen in the periodic table is uncertain. So he was not able to properly position the hydrogen, whether it should go with the metals or the non-metals or the alkalis. So next is isotopes haven't been given separate place. So hydrogen isotopes, so hydrogen as deuterium, tritium, etc. Like they do not have a separate place in the periodic table. So increase in atomic mass was not regular. As per him, when he arranged the atoms or elements, so you can see that it was not regularly arranged with the atomic mass. So moving from one element to another. And also Mendeleev did not confirm, he was not confirmed completely about the order of atomic mass. Atomic mass order also was not able to be confirmed by him. He swapped some elements in between the elements that was been placed. Elements with larger differences in the properties were included in the same group. So the grouping was done with a large number of differences, and also you can see that the grouping was not done properly. So these are the limitations of the Mendeleev's periodic table. So next question, write one difference between saturated carbon compounds and unsaturated carbon compounds. So carbon compounds form covalent bond with other atoms but not ionic bonds. Why? So let's go on for the first one, that is saturated hydrocarbon and unsaturated hydrocarbon differences. So saturated hydrocarbons are organic compounds. They have only one single carbon atom bond. But in turn, unsaturated hydrocarbons are organic compounds. They have at least one double or one triple bond. So here saturated hydrocarbon, they are also known as alkanes. Unsaturated can be alkenes or alkynes. Here they have, that is saturated hydrocarbons have only one single bond between carbon atoms. They can have at least one or double bond or triple bond in between for unsaturated hydrocarbons. So saturated hydrocarbons are less reactive while the unsaturated hydrocarbons are highly reactive. So next question that we need to answer is, so carbon forms a covalent bond with other atoms. Why not ionic bonds? So carbon has 4 electrons in its outermost shell. So that is, it requires 4 electrons to form octet or noble gas configuration or noble element. So you can see that it needs 4 element, or it can also give its 4 electrons. So 4 electrons can be taken or 4 electrons can be given out. So here the giving and losing of electrons is not so easy. So it can neither lose or give the electrons to complete its octet. So it forms covalent bonds by sharing its 4 electrons, and this bond is more stronger than the ion. So we know that the carbon compounds forms covalent bonds because carbon has an atomic number 6 and 4 electrons in its octet. So it can neither lose or gain the electrons. So that's all about this video. We have completed the part 2 of the model paper part 1. So we'll be continuing with the part 3 of model paper part 1 with respect to the continuation of chemistry and biology questions. Thank you all for watching.